All right, y'all. Time for yet another first watch movie review. Um, Tara and I went and saw an incredible movie yesterday. First, let me just ask how you feeling um, before we dive into this. You feeling joy? You feeling sadness? Maybe some fear, anger. What are you feeling going into this? Because that's going to pertain exactly to the movie, as you can tell, that I'm going to be discussing that we just saw, and that's Inside Out 2. Um, the Inside Out series, in general, I think, is an incredibly important film series. Um, it's all about discussing what we go through internally. And I don't know that there's really ever been a more important time slash discussion to have, but especially in a way that um, kids can understand and they can follow. Um, and I think Inside Out 2 just knocked it out of the park. Um, this film was directed by Kelsey Mann. Um, the writers were Meg LaFave, Dave Holstein, and Kelsey Mann. Um, it introduces some new emotions, which, if you've seen the trailer, you probably already know that are also brilliantly done. Let's just go through real quickly who all plays who. Amy Poehler is playing Joy. Tony Hill is playing Fear. You probably know Tony Hill best from Arrested Development. Lewis Black plays Anger, um, and just a perfect choice for that particular emotion. He can portray it so well. Phyllis Smith, probably best known for her role as Phyllis in The Office, voices Sadness, and Liza Lapira. I hope I'm saying some of these names right, per usual, but she voices Disgust, and that's kind of your ragtag crew of emotions that are returning from the first movie. Um, now we're dealing with the character of Riley going into becoming a teenager and new emotions triggered by puberty and just growing up, which again I think that underscores the importance of a movie like this existing um, for kids that are navigating that or will be navigating that, and helping them understand what it is that they're feeling. And I can't think of a more important thing, because all of us, whether you're a kid or not, you're going to take things from these movies that I think are incredibly important, um, and important to think about, important to talk about. Um, uh, it's just important. That's the best way to put it. It's important. So now we get some new emotions playing into this. Those include anxiety, which is voiced by Maya Hawke, who does incredible work on this. Maya Hawke, you may know from Stranger Things. Um then you have Envy, who's voiced by this is the one I worry about mispronouncing, Ayo Edebiri, or Edebiri. Um, she plays Envy. Uh, Probably know her if you watch the show The Bear. She is an unreal actress, unreal. Um, she does amazing work on the show The Bear, but also in this movie. Um, we are also introduced to embarrassment who is voiced by Paul Walter Hauser. And we're introduced to Ennui, or as that character so lovingly puts it, the boredom. Uh, so this is um, this is a great movie. It's a great movie. Um, I think that um, I think it paints a very good picture of what anxiety can feel like. But I also think, and this is just as important, that it shows the need um, for anxiety to exist. Um, in in the sense that that feeling is absolutely necessary to and kind of goes hand in hand with fear, in that the difference between it and fear is that anxiety plans ahead, um, but when allowed to run out of control, um, can cause us to get too far into our heads, um, and essentially create things before they even occur, which can derail any decision we make. Um, this one also really, I feel like, touches on um, discovering our true self, discovering who we are, how we fit in, um, those topics, um, and how new emotions like envy and embarrassment play a factor in all of that, especially as a kid when you're going into a new land, essentially, with middle school and into high school. Um, so again, I cannot. I I it's very tough to think of a film that needs to exist more than a film like this, and I mean that. I also need to say, um, there's another, and I'm not going to say what it is, because I think the surprise, um, and it's a minor surprise, but I think that I get very hesitant to reveal too much about a movie, because I want you to experience it. But there is another emotion that pops in and out from time to time, um, that's a special one. Uh, my 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 friend and someone that I don't know that there's anybody out there I'm rooting for harder uh, than this guy, is also in this movie, uh, voicing a character, and that's James Austin Johnson. Uh, and he, whew, per usual, he knocks it out of the park. He's incredibly talented in being able to do really just any voice. But I think the other thing, and something that I'm really looking forward to, because I think it will happen at some point in time, is that um, he will at some point, I hope, get into the drama side of film as well, um, because that is a just as big of a talent that he has, and I'm looking forward to seeing him get to show that. Um, but obviously, I love him on Saturday Night Live, and uh, so all the things that he does there are tremendously special, and will forever leave a mark on pop culture, in my opinion. But he does an awesome job in this movie. Um, he plays a character that's called Pouchy. I'm not going to tell you anything about it, because I want you to see it. But a great one, an absolutely great one, and a great performance. So anyway, I think this movie was fantastic. Plot was incredibly well done. Again, I think you can pick that up from if you're a parent, you probably know where it's headed, or if you've watched the trailer, or both for that matter. But navigating, growing up from being a kid, um, and how new emotions being introduced can kind of eclipse the emotions that you've been used to, and figuring out a way to navigate that. So I think plot was good. I think the acting was good. I think the music was good. And my understanding is at this point that um, this movie has now become the number one movie in the year, or of the year, at the box office, knocking out Dune 2. And if you'd have told me that was going to happen, I I wouldn't have believed you, because Dune 2 is a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece. Uh, I don't know that I would have to rack my brain to try to figure out anything negative I could say about Dune 2. Uh, and this is probably spoiler for later in the year when I revisit my top 15 films of all time. But Dune 2 is going to be on that list, 1000%. Um, but this movie has now overtaken it, and I'm surprised by that. Um, but I'm also in love with the fact that it has, because that tells me um, it's getting a wide following. A lot of people are seeing it, and it needs to be seen, because it's discussing mental health. And to me, I don't think that there really is a more important topic than that. As someone that like anybody else is navigating their emotions on a regular basis, and at times it's tough to put words to it. And I think that this not only does that, but it also puts imagery to it, and that's incredibly powerful. So, just an awesome movie. If you have the chance, uh, I would definitely go see it 1000% in theaters, if you have the chance. It does really well on a big screen, like any film. Um, but I cannot recommend this enough. Um, you know, it just it's different than the first, but it needed to be, because we're approaching a different phase of life, and handling things in that moment. Um, it touches on, and it's very brief. It's very brief. And I saw somebody on social media that pointed this out. Um, so shout out to them. But there's a very brief moment where Joy says that wherever she goes, sadness goes with her. And at the time, I think it comes off as her just being kind to sadness, um, but it makes a good point, um, because um, in, in a way, I think a lot of times those two are inextricably linked. It's finding joy in sad moments, but also allowing yourself to feel the sadness. Um, and it's very brief. It's very quick in the movie, but just the fact that they were able to get across something that strong that quickly is astonishing. Um, so uh, it depicts sarcasm really well. Uh, it just it does a great job. It does a great job. So here's the moment you wait for. I give this movie, first watch, a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I don't really find anything uh, negative I could say. Um, at times I found myself wanting to be like, oh, this is almost too kiddie. And then I had to correct myself on that because it's a kid's movie. And I think that if you really want to enjoy movies, if you really want to enjoy them and you really want to view them the proper way, you need to know what you're walking into and you need to get in that mindset. If you're walking into a comedy, it has completely different boxes it has to check than horror. And if you're walking into horror, it has completely different boxes it has to check as opposed to drama. And ultimately, those boxes getting checked are what make it, a 1 to a 10 out of 10 for its genre. Uh, you know, and then there's the whole Oscar discussion after that. And I think that any genre should, in my opinion, be given its day at the Oscars. I really do. And that's why I was so thrilled to see Godzilla -1 receive one. First time in its 70 years of existence. As a film series, getting that recognition, and I think that's incredibly important. Another movie that'll probably you'll see it in my top 15 of all time for sure. So not probably, but you will. This movie, it gets a 10 out of 10. I think it tackles a very important topic. I think your kids are going to love it. I think that you're going to love it. And I think that it's going to mean potentially something a little different for the two of you. But another thing that I might encourage you to do, because I think kids will naturally, as they always do, have questions. I think that what this film does is open a dialogue between a parent and their child about discussing these emotions and navigating them, and that's incredibly rewarding. I would think as a parent. I'm a pet parent, but I would think that would be incredibly rewarding to be able to go see this movie and then open that discussion with your teenager, your preteen, especially preteen, or your child. Go see it. It's a wonderful movie. Again, it is Inside Out. It's directed by Kelsey Mann. It's put out there by Pixar. I couldn't be happier to see Pixar doing so well with this. The writers are Meg LaFave, Dave Holstein, and Kelsey Mann. It is Inside Out 2. I give it a 10 out of 10, and that's your first watch.